Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Groover. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I am your co-host, Kathy Groover.
And I'm Jason Mefford. And today we wanted to do another little one of these kind of quicker episodes where we just take kind of a question. We talk about it for a few minutes, and so here we go. So, Kathy, question of the day is what?
Do you think everyone should have a backup plan? So I was a theater major, and it was forever drilled in my head. What's plan B? You should have a backup plan. What if the acting thing doesn't work? You should have a different major. Why don't you minor in theater and major in something else? Why don't you study accounting? Which I don't know why anybody would suggest that, because me and math we don't have any kind of relationship. Like,
and I'm the guy with the accounting degree, right?
We have no relationship at all. Why don't you do real estate? Why don't you? I'm like, I couldn't sell water to a dying man in the desert. Like, I just, no. But because I grew up with that drilled in my head, I'm a Capricorn, triple Capricorn. I tend to 90% of the time have a backup plan. Like if I'm traveling and I see that the flight might be delayed, I'm the first one to be online going, okay, so if this doesn't go, what's the next one I can do? And Eric recently had COVID and I did not get it. But on day 3 of us sequestering, because of course I had to sequester, I turned to him and I said, look, what are we going to do? And he said, if you get sick too. And I went, right. So I went to the store and I got us a bunch of soup and I got us a chicken and we had a backup plan. So it's just sort of been drilled in my head since I was a kid to have a plan B, C, D, E, and F. And so I got to be on the side of backup plan.
Well, this is one where, again, I mean, I was trained as an accountant. I've been an executive, responsible for risk management. And, those are always kind of glass half empty sort of positions, right? Where you're always trying to scenario plan. What if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? Exactly what you were just kind of talking about, right? And just trying to mitigate if something doesn't quite go the way that you're expecting to, right? So again, that's been my training. So from kind of an adaptive style, right? That's what I'm used to. But what's interesting is the older that I'm getting, I'm thinking, fuck the backup plan. Okay.
Well, maybe someday when I'm as old as you,
yeah, exactly.
I'll forget the backup plan.
Yeah, no, but here's the reason why I'm kind of saying that, or where this comes up is, I think it's like in a relationship, in anything, you can have one foot in and one foot out.
Yeah, that's different. That's
right. And if you have one foot in and you have one foot out, then where are you? Right. So you can look at it kind of from a relationship standpoint of, well, either I'm going to have both feet in the relationship and I'm going to make it work and there's no backup plan. Or if you've got the foot out, how good are you going to be at actually trying to salvage the relationship? If you've always got the backup plan, like, well, if this doesn't work out, then I'm going to leave. Right. So there's things like that, or, even from a business standpoint, I've had discussions with Allie, my wife, before, about, because again, she's always the backup. She's the planner. Right. And she'll say stuff to me like, well, but what if that doesn't work? What's your backup plan? I don't have a backup plan because it's going to work, right?
Well, isn't it the plan for the best, expect the best, plan for the worst? Isn't that like the phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's go back to the relationship one. I agree. And I do a lot of relationship coaching. And one of the kind of guru relationship guys that I follow basically says that if you're not 100% committed, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, so for his 10-week thing, if you are not 100% committed for that 10 weeks, he won't work with you. Like if you're already planning on moving out, if you've got the other apartment rented, if you've got your stuff packed, he's like, no, we're not doing this. But I'll throw a but in. But if you are in a relationship where you don't know how to do anything yourself and you don't save any money and you don't have any friends outside of the relationship, and then that person leaves you, you're kind of fucked, because it's not necessarily having a backup plan of one foot out the door. It's about building something of your own. I mean, I have clients who one of the spouses has died and the guy couldn't do the laundry. He didn't know where the bills were kept. He didn't know where they banked. He didn't know where the spare set of the keys of the car were. I mean, he was just so not willfully ignorant, but I mean, so unbackup plan that when something horrible happened to his spouse, he was completely lost.
Yeah. Well, and there is probably, you know, a tempering of it as well, especially if you kind of know this, that you're going to need something, right? So like, for example, people in transition. I mean, there's certain times when it could be maybe career wise, it could be relationship wise, where you just know that it's just not going to work out. You've been committed, you've been trying to do it, but you know that within the next X period of time, right, things just probably aren't going to work out. So you do have to start, you know, I've done that with certain clients that I've had, right? I've got an inkling, you know, and I've kind of known for a few months that it just wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
Right. But I kept going with it, but I started making plans for what the future would look like. Right. And so I guess I'm not saying don't do that. Right. But especially when you think about it from a law of attraction standpoint, or, you know, other kinds of things like that, that always feeling like you can fall back on something is almost shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. And as we were started talking about this, I was thinking about that. It's like, you know, with the law of attraction and, you know, that sort of thing, you do believe so strongly that you have the thing. By having a backup plan doesn't minimize the energy that you're putting into the thing. I guess I'm thinking more of practical stuff. Like we were just my in-laws were in town and Eric and I were talking to them about travel. And I said, yeah, I need to start planning our November trip. And he goes, oh my God, it's June. And I said, I need to start planning our November trip. And he started laughing and he goes, yeah, the last time I went out of the country by myself, I didn't get a hostel in advance. And I'm thinking, oh, because like I've never, I don't want curtains and I want my own room and a tub. And like, I travel well when I travel. And he said, yeah, I didn't realize you had to do it in advance. And so I showed up in Barcelona and like, there were no hostels. And I finally had to go to this really scummy one and that's the practical aspect to me of having a plan and a backup plan. He had no clue you had to get hostels in advance. He just showed up and walked in and they're like, yeah, we can't take you. Like these places are reserved. So I guess my thing is not necessarily...
I'll go sleep in the park.
Oh God. Oh, no, we turn left. So I guess I'm speaking more along of like the practical stuff of the planning of having a backup plan. I don't know. It's a tough one. I guess I have a backup plan for everything. Capricorn.
Well, and so, you know, the original question too, I mean, because again, as we're sitting here talking, this is agree with us, don't agree with us, it doesn't matter. The idea is, you know, for you listening to kind of think about this, right? And I know the question said, do you think everybody should have a backup plan? And so, you know, just straight off, I would say no, because not everybody necessarily needs a backup plan. But again, if you have that inclination, like Kathy does, right? I mean, it would go against your nature not to do some planning, right? But it's, you know, are you planning, or are you, like we were talking about, you've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out?
Right. Well, and it depends on for what. So I think everyone should have a backup plan, but not for every little thing. Right. I'm going to go to the grocery store and here's everything on my list. But if they don't have any of that, here's my secondary list. No one does that. I mean, so hey, do you want to get married?
If they don't have mayonnaise, what am I going to put on my sandwich?
Miracle
I'll get
Whip.
Butter. Or yeah, right. I'll get Miracle Whip.
And if they don't have Miracle Whip, then you get eggs and you get stuff and you make your own mayonnaise. I mean, there's always a backup plan, right? If you're creative enough. Yeah, but it's like, I don't. So when everyone told me, what are you going to do if the acting thing doesn't work? My very like self-centered teenage self went, what do you mean? What if it doesn't work? I like to my brain, it was not even a possibility that I would not have an amazing acting career in Hollywood. And I had a backup plan. I was a psych minor. Which has now come back to be really beneficial to me, right? Because I do a lot of that, but it never crossed my mind to have a backup plan because I was so confident that it was going to happen. So then when it didn't happen, I did find myself going, oh shit, like it didn't have, oh God, now what am I going to do with myself? Who knew I had massage as the backup plan? I didn't even plan.
Well, sometimes that's how it works out, right? And I guess with this too is it's kind of because the word control has been on my mind lately.
I know
And
nothing about that at all.
nothing. I know nothing, right? Is I think a lot of times too, and this is where it's just me, it's what's working for me, but I'm becoming more flexible and more fluid the older I get. Because, again, my training has always been, I got to control this. You got to have all the plans. You got to, and the older I get, the more I realize we can't control it. And so we just have to sometimes go with it, right? You show up at the store and there's no mayonnaise. Okay. Well, now you've got choices, right, on what you can do. You're going to buy Miracle Whip this week. You're going to just go without it. You're going to use butter. Maybe you just decide not to have a sandwich or whatever you're going to use the mayonnaise for, right? And so, sometimes our over planning can lead us to feel like we are in control when we are not in control. And the problem is, because I said to somebody this last week, I said, control, I think, leads to a lot of the suffering that we have. And they went, what? No, if I control it, then there's no suffering. And it's like, if you're white knuckling on and trying to control everything and things aren't working out exactly the way you want them to, then you're creating suffering for yourself and for those around you as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So right, no, I'm just thinking about my morning of, I finally got a good night's sleep and I woke up and it's like, wow, I have an hour before we get on the podcast this morning. I'm going to just make a nice breakfast and there's ants everywhere. And poor Eric is like trying to calm me down. There's ants. I mean, the house was filled with ants. It was like a horror movie. They found the cat food. They were everywhere. And that's something I can't control. So I end up losing my half hour of what was going to be a relaxed morning in scraping ants off the floor and spraying thing. It was an unplanned thing. Now, I didn't wake up this morning going, what am I going to do if there's ants in the house?
Well, because you couldn't control it.
I have a backup plan. Wait, hang on. Let me go through my card file. Ants, backup plan, spray. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
We have to go with the flow at some point or we are going to drive ourselves crazy. And I do have to say, though, after such a crazy week and me knowing I only had a half hour to have to spend it cleaning up ants, not the way I wanted to spend my morning. So yeah, this has been interesting. I love these little questions because it's like you never know where it's going to go, like the socks and the cartoon characters. So yeah, I guess I'm a backup planner. You're getting a little more loose in your old age. So once I get that old as you.
Yeah.
I actually don't think you're older than me, but that's how old are you?
No, but we won't get. I think I'm like maybe a year younger than you. We're almost the same age. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm 35.
You're 35. Yeah. Okay. Well, that must make me 34. Yeah.
Yeah. My backup plan is I'm not aging.
There you go.
I'm youthing. Okay. So I don't know. What are we telling people?
Well,
don't use mayonnaise.
Again, everything that we talk about here is to take it or leave it, right? I mean, we're just trying to help you, improve your life, have a happier, better life. So again, hopefully today, it's just caused you to pause and think a little bit about, should I have a backup plan? Some instances you probably should. Other times, maybe you're trying to over control and over plan, and maybe you just need to relax a little bit more, right? Or on the flip side, if you're like the person you were talking about, his wife died and he had no clue as to absolutely anything going on in his life. Well, if you're in that situation, maybe you should do a little bit more planning, right? But each of you can only decide for you. We just throw the question out here and talked about it, and now you can decide what you're going to do with it.
Yeah. Here's my last thought on this, as you just said that. So for me, a backup plan creates less stress. Okay, because I talked about the ants, right? I didn't have a backup plan for the ants, except you know what I did have? I keep spray in the garage. Mm-hmm. Do I use ant spray every day? No. Do I use ant spray every 2 years? Yeah. But I still have it just in case we had, because what I've done this morning, I would have had to go buy ant spray from somewhere. So it's like, it's a backup. That's kind of a backup plan. ant spray. So go out, get mayonnaise and ant spray.
Don't
Do
use
not
them
confuse
together.
Don't confuse them.
No.
That's not going to work. Okay, we should go. We should go. We've definitely outworn our welcome on this one. Okay. I'm Kathy Gruber. I can be reached at kathygruber.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. So go out and have a great week, and I'll catch you on the next